The streets with their subtle beauty. Even the towers where the reigning law, where the New Roman Templars would sit with their high-powered sniping weapons, digitally adjusted fuses, ready to dispense justice at the twitch of a muscle. Even those places looked somehow perfect in their own way. It was proper that they were there. It was perfect. Suddenly I'd forgotten why I'd been there. I forgot why I even came. I stood there for a long time, looking around. A woman came by. Her hair looked like it was made of light. Bright blue light. She took my hand, just like that, and said, "Come with me." And I walked, my legs responding, thankfully, because somehow I think that if my legs weren't synthetic, they wouldn't have been able to steer. I would have just been stumbling along the street like some drunken fool. Maybe I was. Maybe that's exactly what I was. Just a drunken idiot. She led me by the hand to a trailer at some point, but the end had been cut away and it was open to the heat. It would have been shielded from the rain, but I could see there was a shower open. Everything was open. There was no barriers. There was a reupholstered seat from what looked like a bus sitting there. She dropped me onto it and I fell into it. It was so soft. I could feel it all around me. Wonderful. It's like it held me. I closed my eyes and just felt the seat take me in. From the IP range I was at, there was music being broadcast, so I allowed it to be played. It was this ambient music, no beat or rhythm to it, just tones carrying me, moving along like a glass stream. It was unbelievable. I took a moment and savored the flavor of the music. I let it roll through my nostrils. I let it bounce around inside of my eyes. It was an experience that I wish I could stay lost in for the rest of eternity, even if it was a lie. For the first time in my life, I realized the draw of the New Roman Empire. If this wasn't paradise, it was pretty close. I opened my eyes and realized I was sitting on a couch. The girl with the blue light hair had taken her clothes off and she was showering. At the end of the trailer, the water would fall through and be gathered at a drain at the bottom, no doubt pumped back into the aqueducts of New Rome. Like a schoolboy, I stood there and stared at her. Her body was beautiful, but not in an erotic way. It was the way the water moved over her. Beads like little serpentine tears running down her tanned flesh. Water splashing, replacing, laughing, cascading around her. It was wonderful. She would see me and her large black pupils like dark pools of light reaching out to me, chased away by the white light of her smile. That time there, on the couch, on that bus seat it happened to me within the first few minutes of me arriving in New Rome, but it was an eternity into itself. It was a place where I understood, finally. And that's the only way I could put that. It was an understanding there. It transcended everything else that I'd ever experienced. And even now I can smell her moist flesh. It's rare to actually have a water shower. There's people who would pay huge credits to just get a crack at something like that. And she said something to me, but her mouth moved too slowly. It didn't keep up to her words. And I shook my head. I realized I was still holding my helmet. And I didn't want to let it go. I knew that something was stopping me from letting go of that helmet. I wouldn't want to lose that here. So I held on to it. I wanted to put it somewhere. I wanted to keep it in something so that I wouldn't lose it. She saw me looking around, and suddenly she was beside me, naked and dripping. The smell of her flesh was unbelievable, scented like a lotus blossom in a spring wind. She handed me what looked like some kind of a pillowcase with a cord, hemp cord, tied around it, made into a bag. She said, "You can put your artifacts in here." And she handed it to me, but when she handed it to me, it wasn't like giving someone a bag. It was as though she handed it to me as though it was some sacred relic, some ancient thing that I'd traveled for thousands of miles to take. It was just this one pillowcase, and she got on her knees and offered it to me. I took it with the same reverence it was given, and I put the helmet inside. I slung the rope over my head and then realized I had a bag around and I couldn't remember what I'd put inside of it, so I looked inside and there was my helmet, which I thought was good, because that way I wouldn't lose it while I was here. And then I got lost in the colors of the couch again. Then there was the color red, this color of red that was washing over me, touching me with warmth, my face. I could feel it moving with the music, with the rhythmless sound of so many voices. I could feel this red warmth licking my body. I realized that the woman with the blue light hair was washing me, my fleshy parts, everywhere where the steel had not touched. She brought the sponge over my head, and I could feel that red warmth of water washing over my face. It was wonderful to feel water on my skin, like I was some newborn child. And this woman, who I didn't even know her name, I still don't know her name, was like a mother and a lover and a wife and a mate and all things in that moment to me. She finished bathing me, and I left my coat, which at some point had left my body, but that stayed in her dwelling, open. Nobody took it. It was bizarre, and I felt strangely calm about it. And then she stood up and took my hand and said, "We will go see him now." And I looked at her with wide eyes and I said, "Who?" And she said, "We will go see Mr. Weaver." And I was going to ask, who's Mr. Weaver? Then I realized that Mr. Weaver was the Dread Man. And that's why I was here. I was here to see the Dread Man. This woman was going to take me to him. She took me by the hand, and gently, beautifully, she glided out into the street. And I glided with her.